was going to play me. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. Some beginners are actually quite good at the game, and others seem to have trouble getting around. As you can see, my opponent brought a shock army, whereas I brought a quality army. However, we're going to find that my Iberians apparently aren't very quality, which I thought was a bit of a ripoff, seeing how much money I spent on them. See, in reality, troops like the Iberians would have pretty much been the bulk of Carthage's army, and they were actually pretty tough swordsmen, and I really hate how the game portrays them as a bunch of yellow-bellied sissies that rout as soon as they touch their enemy. So here he's moving in his shock troops. He's going to hit my slingers, which I don't have on skirmish mode, because I don't really ever care if my slingers get killed. So one of his units comes in and routs. It's the Chosen Axeman, so I was thinking things were looking good for me. I charge in all of my Iberians and my Libyan Spearmen to make a massive, compact wall here that hopefully would slaughter the Germans. But ridiculously enough, his Berserkers are going to rout all of my Iberians, which is, in my opinion, utterly ridiculous. That many swordsmen would have slaughtered those Berserkers, and so then he catches my pointy off guard, and they rout immediately because they're also a bunch of sissies. So all of these troops here, I'm going to find out where they live, and I'm going to burn their homes, because they obviously don't know honor and glory like Carthaginians should. They're so extremely pathetic, and I intend to get revenge. And apparently, as you'll see later, their routing also makes the rest of my troops so angry, and in a need for revenge, that I eventually will get a chance to obtain it. So let's see what happens. Let's see if the rest of my troops have honor. And here his cavalry are chasing my routing troops and slaughtering them, which is fully what they deserve for being such cowards. Berserkers might be scary, but I mean, my gosh, come on. You can't hold your ground any longer than that. So here, at this point, he types in something in the order of LOL, and he pretty much thinks he has this one, which by all means it would seem that he does. But being a fan of Carthage, I know that they have honor and that they are brave men, and so the rest of my brave men are going to stand, even though most of my army routed like a bunch of chickens. Here I finally get the jump on some of his Berserkers. I turn my spears into them and let them have it phalanx style. And I don't feel sorry for a single one of them, and in fact after the battle's over I intend on punching more holes in their vile corpses. So here his Berserkers are finally slaughtered the way they should have been to begin with, had the game not been so inaccurate in portraying the Iberian Infantry. As you can see, these honorable Poeni easily rout his pathetic spear warbands. That's right, I called you pathetic, you Germans. So my opponent thought he had this one. It still looks pretty good for him. Again, he was typing stuff like LOL. He wasn't being mean, I just think that he was excited that his shock army works so well. Here he brings in his Gothic cavalry, and I take the opportunity to massacre them with my pointies. This is what they deserve for standing against the might of Carthage, and this is what all who stand against Carthage will receive. So anyway, I murdered that squadron of Gothic cavalry. He comes into the rear of my pointies with this spear warband, not in phalanx formation, so I'm simply going to turn and slaughter them as well. He has his spear warbands have a pretty good jump on me here, but my pointy have decided to be brave, and they're going to fight this out to the death, for which I'm very proud of them. And as a commander, I will make sure and give them huge bonuses and whatever else they want upon our glorious return to Carthage. So my men are easily holding off this spear warband, but now his chosen archer warbands, which I don't have a whole lot of answer to, are starting to pour in missile fire, and that's going to be very dangerous for my troops. Here I lose another unit of pointies, but I've brought back one of my routing units to hit them in the rear here, and this is going to help me out a lot. I had some slingers, and I was going to bring them up and fire into the back of the German units, but I decided instead that I have got to get these chosen archers to quit firing. So here in a moment I'm going to send my slingers on a suicide mission for the glory of Carthage. They're going to chase those chosen archers for as long as they can before they get killed. I noticed his general was left here, and I'd really like to kill him to give myself a morale boost to my men. At this point, the fight is actually starting to turn to my favor if I can just get rid of those chosen archers. here 2 more units of his spear warband rout, and at this point my opponent I think was a little bit shocked, and so I typed a message that said, yes, Germany has shock value, but they lack quality. And so my Carthaginian quality, even in the face of overwhelming odds, has overcome my opponent. As you can see, my slingers accomplished their mission. They took his chosen archers off station for just a moment, and now I'm going to quickly crush this last remaining spear warband, and then I'm going to hurriedly move my men into loose formation into a long line, so that they will have more protection against missile fire. So the moral, or the moral of this story is, don't give up. Even if your opponent thinks he's won, always give them a good fight. So my opponent, his idea was to come and shock my army and then slam into me and catch me when I was off guard. Fortunately, not all of my army was a bunch of bedwetting pansies like the ones who routed, and like I said, they'll get theirs. Whenever these troops return home, like I said, to Carthage in glory, during their parade and triumph, the soldiers who routed will be pulling their carts, and people will be free to throw all types of rotten vegetables at them, and at the end of the day, we will have a contest to see who can whip them the hardest. The children can even get involved by kicking, biting, and scratching the troops who routed. And we also have a raffle at the end of the celebration, where we will be giving away the land of those troops who routed. Because had they just stayed and fought, they would have been able to be a part of this victory. So here I'm approaching his chosen archers, and I'm hoping this doesn't turn into a match where I have to chase them forever, but it very well could, as that I don't really have an answer for archers. All I have is my remaining infantry. I don't know if he's out of ammunition, but for some reason my opponent isn't firing, which is absolutely fine with me. Here in a minute he begins some maneuvering. I don't really know what he's attempting. I guess he's going to try and attempt to get behind me. But with this few troops left, I can pretty well handle their maneuvering, even though I'm not that great of a player. So he starts to shift, and I'm going to match. I do make one more mistake before the battle's over, which cost me some of my men, but I rectify it quickly, and you'll see what that is in a moment. So, like I said, my opponent's maneuvering for position, which I'm going to deny him. He comes in for a charge with his chosen archers and his skirmishers. These guys have their back turned because they're trying to get into line. I put them into phalanx and then turn them off loose formation, but your men won't go out of loose formation if they're in phalanx mode. So I quickly realize this when my men rout. I take them out of phalanx, and put them into tight, and then put them back into phalanx, and now his men really don't stand the chance. So now it's just a matter of mopping up the remainder of these vile Germans. Also, as a little bit of payback to the Germans, my Carthaginian commander has every intention of figuring out where the berserkers came from, and then traveling to that country and destroying their lands and women. Like I said, I was really upset earlier with the way my Iberians routed. That really was not very accurate. Historically speaking, Iberians would make up the bulk of the Carthaginian army. Poini would have been the more elite troops. They would have actually been from Libya and phalanx spearmen, so there were several kinds of Libyan spearmen available to the Carthaginians. And then of course the Carthaginian cavalry would have been much more talented than the German cavalry, even though German cavalry from certain places was quite good. Carthage's cavalry was a very professional, very well armed force. Certainly a problem for the Romans as they fought. And here you can see that his troops are just not going to be able to stand up to my men, which pleases me very much. So, like I said, my men are going to finish mopping these guys up, and then we're going to go back over to the berserker corpses and mutilate them.
But any victory is still a victory.
So I did in the end obtain victory. It was a close victory. I had 1,244 kills, and my opponent, the Duke, had 1,240 kills. Good game to the Duke. You were close, but not quite.